always say the proof is in the pudding. You can't, this is something that you can't lie about. The consciousness change. If you sincerely have made that consciousness change, you will get that change within the physical structure, and it will stay. And I've seen many times where a person has healed a particular thing, and then they have gone back, and then it will remanifest even as something else within the body. And they'll have to work through it again. So there's no way out here. You can't lie about this. The consciousness change will be there if you have really done the work. And I find that one of the things that sometimes stops the consciousness change after they've made it, or changes it, or brings them back, is the idea of gratitude. This woman, Annalise Scarron, who has made her ascension, she brings this out a lot in her books about how we should be grateful for everything that we have acquired, everything that the consciousness change we have made, and to be grateful for every single moment, for every single day. And I think a lot of people are out there thinking that the world owes them something. And they're not grateful for the things that they have, the things that they've accomplished, the things that the consciousness changes they have, and to really sincerely be grateful for what has happened. This is an important step.
Well, there's a lot of different things that will hold us back in our progression, and I think another thing that would really apply, and as John would say, if the shoe fits, wear it, and I think we'd probably find that this would apply to each and every one of us, at least to some degree. But I think a thing that will really hold us back, and that was very, very obvious in this particular case we've been talking about, is really the sense of pride or feeling, special or important. And I think that there was a real, this individual wanted to do this, wanted to get rid of the steel rods, and there was a lot of attachment, not just to doing it, but to having everybody know that that he'd done it, and to whatever admiration or recognition would go along with having done it, and other people knowing he had done it. And I really think that had a lot to do with the whole situation, where they would never really stay gone for any length of time. And I think that this is a trap that all of us probably are either still falling into, or if we've overcome it by some miracle, it's certainly something we've probably all fallen into in the past. So I don't say this to point the finger at this one individual any more than I say it to point the finger at all of us, because again, I think it's a glitch that we all share. But something that will, just like a lack of gratitude will hold us back, as Anita's expressing it, I think another thing that will really work against us is that attachment, where we want recognition, we want people to admire us, we want to be special, we want to be better than other people. And I think that when we have an attachment to something like that alone is gonna hold us back in more ways than we can imagine.
Okay, Doug, thank you. Anita, thank you. Did we answer your question yet? Yeah.
You've just explained to me those 5 words in the Bible that Jesus used.
Speaking of the mic there.
You've just explained to me those 5 words in the Bible that Jesus used after he healed: go and sin no more.
That's correct.
Yes, thank you.
And that's right on. And here's where we have to learn to live a life beyond reproach to the best of our ability, knowing that we're all delightful deviations from the norm. Okay? And here's where we do all in our power to be of service to one another, knowing that eventually people will change for the good. Might be 10 lifetimes. Okay. I feel there's something, another question somebody has. Please bring the questions up. Now's the time. Are the lights on back there?
When you talk about the movement of the bones and the snaps and the crackles and the pops, I'm just wondering what happens with the tissues and the, everything that's holding that together. That all stretches with the movement of the bones?
They restructure according to the morphogenetic field, which will be determined by the release of the pain and the emotions that have been held in position for so long. And then the bone structures change.
We've all been taught or conditioned to look upon the body as a very static, unchanging structure. And we've been taught to look at the body as reality. And nothing could be further from the truth. The physical body is simply a reflection of consciousness. And it's the most dynamic, fluid thing you can possibly imagine. I mean, the physical body can change in a twinkling of an eye. Like I said, this one situation with the steel rods, he had just finished having the steel rods dissolve. They were absolutely gone. His girlfriend, who'd been out for the evening, came in at the front door, and just in the length of time it took her to walk about 5 meters to where he was, they had reappeared. So, if you look at something like that, and you have to understand that the physical body, can change just like that, and don't worry about things getting stretching or popping or any of that sort of stuff. The physical body is just responding or mirroring whatever's going on in the consciousness of the individual, and it can change in ways that would absolutely blow your mind, and at a rate, virtually instantly, that's hard to imagine if you haven't seen it happen. So don't worry about something getting popped out or anything. It'll all sort itself out.
I have a letter which I think will answer your questions. All right? This is what we live with day by day. But we had a seminar with last year.
Sakara was there.
Where?
Sakara and Corey.
Sakara, you were there.
Rena.
Linda was there, and Corey was there. Sakara? The bulb? Burning? Ah, that's 50%. That's good.
I think that one's smoking too.
Okay. But let me read this to you. This is a testimonial to whom it may concern. My name is Rena Campbell. I live at 27 Hellway Street, Dawesville, Western Australia. I was involved in a car accident some 6 years ago. The resultant injuries were whiplash, back injuries, and both my jawbones were fractured. The specialists decided to let the fractures heal naturally. 6 months down the track, I couldn't open my mouth to eat. More x-rays were taken, and they discovered that on the left-hand side, the temporomandibular bone, or more specifically, the left condyle of the mandible, was broken off and would have to be removed. On the 20th of August, 1990, I had removed surgically my left condyle of the mandible. This is called a condylectomy. At the same time, a fibrosis ankylosis was released. This is a difficult operation as a large mass of bone was found where there had been the displaced condyle as a result of the car accident. At that time, surgery was also carried out on the TMJ, or the temporomandibular joint. Adhesions were released by lysis and lavage. The disc was found to be anteriorly dislocated, and the posterior attachment was cauterized, and the disc itself was replaced with an endural application suture according to the doctor's report. As a result of that operation, I suffered what is called Bell's palsy. The left side of my face dropped and was numb. I couldn't chew properly as the strength just was not there, and I could only chew in an up and down motion. I had no strength to eat an apple. Side to side was gone permanently. It also affected my speech almost like a lisp. My left eye was also affected. I couldn't read for any length of time as everything would be blurred. The lights affected my eyes. Driving a car at night was dangerous. Tears would form in the eye as soon as it was tired. I had consultation with a surgeon on the 12th of March 1991. I still had pain in front of the left ear. It was like an exploding pain It was like an exploding pain that radiated into the head and neck areas. Because of the Bell's palsy, the facial muscles were starting to waste. I had electric shock treatment to the face to hopefully help with this problem. Nerves were growing back where they shouldn't have, and so on. I attended the Body Electronics Instructor Seminar at the Genazzano Center in Queensland, and I told Dr. John Whitman Ray, who was conducting the seminars, of my problem. He said, grab a chair and sit down. John then started to work on my second cervical. That's right in the back of the neck. And it was actually between the second and third cervical. While I went through the burning pain related to the injury and the return of memory, John kept moving until he covered the whole area and I had no more pain. By this time, my jawbone was back. Okay? I had lunch and I could chew my food. The strength was back. My eye also had moved up. Her head was very asymmetrical, and the whole head shifted and came back into a proper positioning. I still had pain and nerve twinges for some time after this. I might add that Brian Nicholas, an ex-race car driver, had the entire episode timed to 12 minutes, complete. I trust you all understand that the entire bone portion, which was surgically removed, regenerated, ligaments, muscles, bone, and all. Okay? And you ask what happens to the bones and the ligaments and the joints. In the final week of the seminar, I underwent a cranial using a special process called cranial electronics. This freed up the muscles around the jaw, and I now have full circular jaw movement. The eye moved back into its socket. It was very much out of socket. And the numbness left, and now I have control over the eye, which I didn't have before. She couldn't move her eye. Now she has full, proper motion of her eye. All the feeling came back where the numbness had been for 6 years. From a medical point of view, if you've had numbness for 6 years, what's the chances of that ever coming back? None. I hope you understand that. Okay? I definitely had a miracle happen to me, and I'm very humble and grateful for the lifetime of work that enabled Dr. John Whitman Ray to do this using the technique of body electronics. Well, frankly, after the first day, I didn't touch her. We had other people working on her, and each one of them was getting wonderful results with her. We had an osteopath from Perth working with her. We had a health practitioner from down in Melbourne working with her, and we had a lot of other people holding different points for different purposes, and she just literally came through it like a trooper. Thank God for body electronics and John Ray. I've been very privileged to attend the seminar and honored to be in a position to pass body electronics on to as many people as I can. She went back to Perth, Western Australia. She tried to share with people there that knew her, and they knew what she was like before. They know what she's like now, and they all said, well, that's nice. Don't talk to me anymore about it, please. I mean, people are blind at midday. They're in total mental darkness because they don't want to believe what happened because it violates their comfort zones. In my sincere desire to see this technique used to help others as I have been helped, I have prayed for some time that I may be of help to others, and perhaps this testimony will help serve that purpose. Rena Campbell, January 1995. I hope you enjoyed that. But does that answer your question? We could have another 10,000 testimonials just like that with different people, different times, with different people working with them around the world. Okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir. Howard.
This might sound like that I've been brought up in the wrong part of the world, but I've got friends and acquaintances who have these sort of problems. Like one's got bad scoliosis, one's got he's been actually had his back operated on, and he lives in a wheelchair. Is there any way there's a practitioner who can work on them without going through the whole sequence? Because even that the lady you spoke must have been to 3 lots of seminars before the work was done.
No.
No, that's the question.
Because they have to understand how the human mind operates. They have to understand the concept of resistance. They have to incorporate into their being to lovingly and willingly endure all experience, or else they can't go through a healing crisis and regenerate. They have to let go of their grudges and learn to love unconditionally and forgive unconditionally. And people don't want to do that. And therefore, you're going to have to go back to scratch, take a person through a program of nutritional saturation, And most people don't want to change their eating habits.
They don't want to give up their meat. Everyone I talk to
And-
doesn't want to give up their meat.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
thank
so
you.
if they don't want to, that's their choice. But because if a person doesn't want to give up their cigarettes, I'm not going to work with them. If they don't want to give up their alcohol, I'm not going to work with them. If they won't give up their marijuana, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not going to work with them. You see what I'm saying? I'll teach them correct principles, and then they have to show that they want to get better by taking a position that they will dedicate themselves to helping themselves first. And once they can help themselves first, then you can work with them. But you can't work with somebody that wants you to do all the work for them, and they're not willing to put forth any effort to help themselves whatsoever, Howard. Now, that'll eliminate about 90% of the people on your list.
Yeah, 98.
98%? Okay. You're being very forgiving when by saying 98. It's probably 99%. And the other one person's questionable.
I know because I offered to asked two people to come to the seminar, and I offered to pick up the tab for them, but even then they wouldn't come.
That's right.
Yeah,
A lot of people want to heal without having to change.
that's right.
And a statement of John's you might want to write down that I've always enjoyed is, most people are in a hurry to get better so they can get back to doing whatever made them sick in the first place.
Now, you mentioned that this, Doug, the visualization and consciousness course, is that a prerequisite for that course, or is it an after instructor's course, or is it a course that anyone, even if they don't want to be an instructor, can go to?
I gave that course back in the 1980s. We had about 5 of them, I'd say. 9? 9 counting the 4 months. Was that there that many of them? I probably overestimated, but I shouldn't have done it because most of the people wanted to have self-aggrandizement and individual power rather than straightening their lives out so they could be one with the human race. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this has been the difficult thing that I have found is most people, because of their genetics, are highly competitive on one hand. They want to be special or they want to be the best on the other. And this destroys their opportunity of being of service to one another because they want to set themselves up as the authority, so to speak. When bottom line, all we are is props. We play our little skit, you know, on the stage of life and we're gone in no time. I mean, why in the world work for something which we're going to lose right off in the battle? And the best thing to do is let's just do the best we can to help people while we're here, knowing full well that after a while our productiveness is gone.
That's my motto too. Thank you.
Okay? Does that help you? Okay, but the thing is, these other folks, just let them go because they want everything their way, they want to control, and they don't want to make any individual effort or sacrifice to straighten their lives out. And yet, among those people, you'll find some gemstones. And then they get better for a while, and then they go back to their old ways of doing things. It's like the scriptures say, the dog is returning to his own vomit. It's not a very nice statement, but that's what I think of every time I see people going back to their old ways. After all the work that's been done, after all the health that's been brought to them, and they have no individual, shall we say, sense of appreciation to their God, gratitude toward mankind and their God, and they just want to go back to their old ways that made them sick in the first place. That's how I see things. It's a very, sometimes quite a difficult way of looking at things, but it's very realistic.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm not done yet. Any Reiki practitioners here? Oh my, got a bunch of them. All right, here's what happened. To the old boy that did the job of, first of all, finding out about Reiki, what did he do? He went down and treated all the sick people, all of the people down in the slums who were the, what would you call them, beggars, you know, for free. And then would send them to the temples to learn about truth, you know, and to live a good, godly life. Every one of them came back and went back to the beggar role because it was a better way of making a living than doing it honestly. And from that time on, he realized that he wasn't going to spend any more time on people on trying to convert them to another way of life. But he was going to work with people who he could work with, you know. and not with the beggars anymore. Now, many of you will probably want to go out and you want to help people. Never, never help people with the idea you're going to change them. Change yourself. And spend time working with yourself to do the best you can to convert yourself to the unity that you would have with the God within. And then you start making good progress without ever touching or talking to another human being. So I'm not asking you to go out here and change the world. I'm asking you to take the time to study and learn and change yourself. And you have your hands full just with that one thing. And by changing yourself, you do change the world.
Another thing to consider here, too, is that rather than going out looking for other people to change, simply make it your business to apply these principles to yourself and change yourself and begin the long and difficult job of mastering yourself. And by the law of attraction, you will inevitably attract to yourself then other people who are committed to changing themselves, which will be precisely the people that you'll actually be able to be of some service to.
When the teacher is ready, the students appear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Don't go looking for them. They'll find you when you're ready.
I know.
Okay. So I want to bring that out with you, and I know it's after 6 o'clock. Ruth.
I think you've just answered my question in part. If you put somebody on the program, you're not going to tell them they have, for example, cancer if you see it, an indication in their eyes.
We talk about that next week.
Okay. That's not... Can I finish my question? You can still choose to answer it next week if you like.
Okay.
If you see an indication that they have got, say, cancer in their eye, in their body, in the iris of the eye, and but they're willing to go on the program, which of course activates their hormonal processes, which can exacerbate a cancerous situation.
We'll talk about that next week.
Do you want me to stop?
Yeah?
Okay.
I would like to say that I have found if I don't see a real, genuine interest in the person, I'm a little hesitant to put them on the program because people do lie. And many of the people that I've tried to work with, they'll tell me, no, I'm not eating that, I'm not smoking anymore. They've got lung cancer or something and they're smoking, but yet when they come in to see me, they say, no, I gave it up, I've given it up, and so that's why if I don't find that there is a real, sincere interest, that they can only be deceiving themselves, and it's not going to help them to be lying to me, because it's their health that they have to get in order. So they have to really make that commitment.
Okay. Now, we've covered an awful lot of material. I want to apologize in one way that I can't just take a whole lot of knowledge and pour it in, because we have to discuss things, we have to look at things, we have to think about things, we have to weigh things. But we've covered an awful lot of material the last couple of days. Now, your assignment before next week is to read this. Don't lose this book, because we'll be using the forms in it to go through in detail the information that's in here and correlate that with the iridology and sclerology. We've covered a lot of material, but go through and reading this material. This will be of great help and benefit to you. There's a lot of things in here that may cause you to ask questions. Good. If you don't understand the material, put it on the shelf, ask questions on it, and we'll help to straighten out those problems. I want to thank, for this first leg, shall we say, of the seminars, I want to thank Corey. Is Corey here? And Linda? And Linda, if you'd be kind enough to come up here, we'll turn the time over to you. And believe you me, there's a large number of people who have helped out that have made this all possible. And without their help, my golly, things wouldn't be happening. There are, before Linda, before we turn the time over, there's a certain tape that you might want to look at. Could you grab that body electronics introduction? Ah, here it is. No, that's fluoridation. This particular tape, some of you have friends that you want to discuss things with. Get a tape, give it to the person, let it take it home, let it listen to it. They can't argue with you. They can't argue to a tape. They have to listen to it and then get after you after they've listened to the tape.
You can argue with a tape. It just isn't much fun.
It's all one way. But get this particular tape on body electronics. It's a good tape. It was done down in Melbourne in part, and there's a lot of information here from some of the people in Melbourne. I think that they have excerpts from the tapes in Melbourne and put on the back of this on different things that people have gone through. And I think that you'll enjoy this, especially when you don't have a command of the terminology and the background. This will give you something that you can just slip into into the TV, let somebody listen to it to their heart's content. And it saves a lot of discussion that you may not be ready to do yet on your own. So this is a good one. And there's other tapes over there on fluoridation, which I hope that we can do some preventive work long before they start trying to jam fluoride down people's throats again. And also the one on mercury, and also the one on fats and oils, and a whole bunch of other good tapes that on oxygen and so on that's back there that you can't go wrong on. Anyway, check those tapes out before you go. I don't want any financial hardship on any of you, but rather than put your money down things that don't amount to much, put it into something that's going to give people their health back. You can't have a better investment than your own health. Yes?
It's different.
Everything's different. Which audio tape is that? The Ray program?
It was the Healing Crisis.
The Healing Crisis, excellent material. Listen to it first and see if you're willing to give it out to your friends. But listen to it first. Because oftentimes you say, my golly, I better put them back down there on they're just the Ray program tapes because they won't be able to handle this one. Okay? Have a little talk ahead of time and be discreet as to who you give that information to, because you'll find you'll get a lot of horse laughs from people because it'll be new to them and perhaps will rattle their comfort zones quite severely for a while. Okay? I want to thank Linda for being so attentive to every little detail, and all of the other folks that have been of help to all of us. And for that, we're very grateful also. All the duplication material, the registration, the whole works. There's been transportation provided, and a great deal of thanks to Sakara and the barbarian, Kanan back there. I appreciate that very much. Linda.